The salt-stung wind off the Costa Brava whipped through the open balcony doors, carrying the distant crash of waves that sounded like the echo of a heart breaking. Sloane Vargas, 17 and already weary of the world's sharp edges, stared at the grainy footage frozen on her stepmother's laptop screen, her own lips pressed against Emery's in the dim glow of the guest room lamp, a moment stolen from the shadows now dragged into blinding light. "You're disgusting," Victoria hissed, her voice a venomous whisper that sliced deeper than any wave could crash. "And your father deserves to know what kind of monster he's raised." Sloane's stomach lurched, the room spinning like the ferries that bobbed in the harbor below their rented villa in this godforsaken corner of Spain, far from the sun-baked beaches of Southern California where her mother had last drawn breath. It had been 3 years since the cancer won, 3 years of Dad's hollow promises and forced smiles, dragging them across the Atlantic for a fresh start, in this expatriate enclave where Americans like them pretended the Mediterranean could wash away grief. But nothing washed away the truth. Sloane loved Emery Hayes with a fierceness that terrified her, a love that bloomed in secret notes passed in the international school's courtyard and late-night whispers under olive trees. And now Victoria, Dad's shiny new wife, the healing he'd found in a Barcelona art gallery, had turned their fragile peace into a battlefield with a single hidden camera, tucked away like a Judas in the villa's ornate cornice. Sloane's fists clenched at her sides, nails digging crescents into her palms. She was tall for her age, all lean muscle from years of surfing Huntington Beach swells before the move, her dark curls wild from the humidity, brown eyes flashing with a storm no ocean could match. "You spied on me," she accused, voice steady despite the quake in her chest. "In our home. That's not protection, Victoria. That's violation." Victoria snapped the laptop shut, her manicured nails clicking like gunfire. She was the picture of polished exile. Mid-40s, blonde bob severe as a prosecutor's, blue eyes that could freeze sangria. She'd swept into their lives 6 months ago. A fellow American artist fleeing her own divorce, promising Dad stability in this cliffside villa they'd leased overlooking the azure expanse. "I installed it for security," she said, chin lifting defiantly. "After that break-in down the street. But this perversion under my roof? I won't let it corrupt us." Down the hall, the floorboards creaked. Dad, roused from his evening siesta, shuffling in with the rumpled confusion of a man who'd buried his wife and half his soul with her. Michael Vargas was 48 going on ancient, his once athletic frame softened by loss and too many glasses of Rioja, salt and pepper hair tousled, face etched with lines that deepened in the villa's perpetual twilight. "What's going on?" he mumbled, rubbing sleep from his eyes, the faint scent of turpentine clinging to his shirt from his half-hearted attempts at painting again. Sloane's throat tightened. This was the man who'd held her through Mom's chemo nights, who'd whispered, "You're my anchor, kiddo," as they boarded the plane to Spain. Now he looked at Victoria like she held the map to his redemption, and Sloane wondered if there was room left for her secrets. "Dad," she started, but Victoria cut in, thrusting the laptop forward like evidence in a trial. "Michael, you need to see this. Our daughter's involved in something unnatural. With that Hayes girl from school." The words landed like shrapnel. Dad's face drained of color, his hand hovering midway to the screen before dropping limp. Sloane saw the flicker, the same flicker she'd glimpsed when Mom's diagnosis came, the denial that curdled into quiet rage. "Sloane." His voice cracked, not accusation but plea. "Is this true?" She wanted to scream, to shatter the terracotta vases lining the shelves, relics from Victoria's curated aesthetic. Instead, she straightened chin high, the fire in her veins a legacy from Mom's unyielding spirit. "Yes, Dad. It's true. Emery and we're in love. And if that's a crime here, then ship me back to LA. But don't you dare let her." A jerk of her head toward Victoria. "Twist this into her war." The villa fell silent, save for the relentless sea, as Dad sank into the wicker chair, head in hands. Victoria paced, heels clicking on the saltillo tiles, her perfume, a cloying jasmine choking the air. Sloane's mind raced back to the beginning, to the summer before the move, when grief had hollowed them out like driftwood. It started in the oncology ward's waiting room, Mom's hand frail in Sloane's, her voice a rasp against the beeps of machines. "Promise me, Mija, live fierce. Love who lights your soul, no matter what the world spits." Mom had been the quiet revolutionary, a Chicana teacher who'd marched for equality in the 90s, her library shelves groaning with Audre Lorde and Gloria Anzaldúa. Sloane, then 14, had nodded through tears, not understanding the depth of it. But when Mom faded, taking her laughter and her fierce hugs, Sloane buried the words like seeds waiting for rain. Dad coped by running, first to grief groups in Long Beach, then across oceans. Spain's got sun like California low, he'd said, eyes bright with manic hope. And fresh air for new memories. They landed in Lloret de Mar, a tourist trap turned expat haven, where Americans clustered in villas like theirs, barbecuing burgers on patios and complaining about the siesta. Sloane enrolled in the American School of Barcelona's satellite campus, a bubble of khakis and AP classes amid the Catalan chaos. That's where Emery entered, like sunlight piercing fog. 17, with sun-bleached blonde hair and a messy ponytail, freckles dusting her nose like constellations, and green eyes that sparkled with mischief. She was the volleyball star, all long limbs and easy grace, daughter of a tech exec posted from Seattle. Their first clash was literal. Sloane spiking a soccer ball into Emery's lunch tray in the courtyard, yogurt splattering like abstract art. "Watch it, newbie." Emery had laughed, wiping her chin, no malice, just that grin that hooked Sloane's breath. "Sorry, jet lag's got me feral," Sloane shot back, and something ignited. Notes followed. Doodles of crashing waves on ripped notebook paper, slipped into lockers. "Meet me at the cove after chem?" One read, and Sloane went, heart hammering like congas. The cove was their sanctuary, a hidden crescent of pebbles below the cliffs, where pines whispered secrets to the tide. Emery arrived with a thermos of iced tea and a blanket, her tank top clinging from the hike down. "So Vargas," she teased, sprawling out. "You always this intense, or is it the ocean vibe?" Sloane sat cross-legged, knees brushing Emery's, the contact electric. "Intense? Nah, just allergic to bullshit." "You." Emery's laugh was a melody, low and warm. "Guilty. Dad's always on about networking. Like life's a LinkedIn profile. Here, though? Feels real." Her fingers traced a shell's spiral, then hesitant, brushed Sloane's hand. Time stilled. Sloane leaned in, tentative, and Emery met her halfway. Lips soft as sea mist, tasting of salt and possibility. From there it unfolded like a forbidden novel. Stolen kisses behind the school's graffiti wall, hands intertwined under cafe tables in Girona day trips, whispers of futures beyond visas and visas. Emery dreamed of USC Film School. Sloane, UC Berkeley's journalism, chasing Mom's activist fire. "We'll make it," Emery murmured one night. Heads pillowed on the blanket, stars wheeling above. "You and me against the tide." But tides turn. Dad met Victoria at an expat mixer, her canvases of stormy seas mirroring his unspoken turmoil. "She's got light in her eyes, Lo," he confided over paella, the first real smile since Mom. Sloane forced one back, ignoring the knot in her gut. Victoria moved in 3 months later, her security upgrades including that damned camera. "For peace of mind, darling," she'd cooed, installing it while Sloane surfed in the cove with Emery. Now in the villa's suffocating hush, Dad lifted his head, eyes red-rimmed. "Lo, I need time. This is a lot." His voice was Dad voice, the one that brooked no argument, but cracked at the edges. Victoria pounced. "Time? Michael, we can't harbor this. Think of the neighbors, the school." "Enough." Sloane exploded, storming to the balcony. The sea mocked her, vast and indifferent. Below, the harbor lights flickered like distant hopes. She pulled out her phone, thumbs flying. Villa's burning. "Need you. Now." Emery arrived 20 minutes later, wind-ruffled and wide-eyed, her Jeep crunching gravel in the drive. Sloane met her at the door, pulling her into the shadowed alcove, their embrace fierce, desperate. "She found out," Sloane whispered, forehead to Emery's. "Camera. Dad knows." Emery's arms tightened, her scent, citrus and sand grounding. "We'll fight it. Together." But as footsteps echoed from the hall, Sloane wondered if together could withstand the storm brewing inside these walls. The dinner that followed was a farce, forks scraping plates like accusations. Victoria presided, her smile a blade, dissecting Sloane with glances. Dad picked at his grilled sardines, mumbling about work emails. Emery, invited under pretense of family discussion, sat rigid, her hand finding Sloane's under the table, a lifeline. "So Emery," Victoria purred, pouring more wine, Tell us about your family. Such stable stock. Your father's in Silicon Valley circles, isn't he? Emery's jaw set, green eyes steady. Yeah, but stability's overrated. Real life's in the mess. The connections that scare you. Victoria's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. Poetic. But some messes stain. Sloane squeezed Emery's hand, the pressure a vow. Later, as thunder rumbled from the Pyrenees, they slipped to the guest room. Sloane, since Victoria claimed the master. The camera's red light blinked innocently from the corner, but Sloane draped a scarf over it, defiant. They lay entwined, clothes on, hearts sinking to the rain's rhythm. I love you, Emery breathed, fingers tracing Sloane's jaw. No camera changes that. But cameras capture more than kisses. They record the unraveling. Dawn broke over the Costa Brava like a reluctant confession, painting the villa's whitewashed walls in hues of blush and gold. Sloane hadn't slept, her mind replaying the footage in loops. The way Emery's hair caught the lamplight, the soft hitch in her breath during that kiss. It wasn't shame that kept her awake. No, Mom's words echoed too loud for that, but fear sharp as the cliffs below, that this revelation would cleave her family beyond mending. Downstairs, the kitchen hummed with forced normalcy. Dad hunched over his coffee, steam rising like unspoken regrets, while Victoria sliced figs with surgical precision, her back a fortress. Emery had left at midnight, a hurried kiss at the door, her taillights vanishing into the fog-shrouded road to her family's compound up the coast. Call me after, she'd urged, and Sloane had nodded, throat too tight for words. Morning low, Dad ventured, voice gravelly. He was in his painting smock already, brushes splayed on the island like fallen soldiers. Sleep okay? She poured cereal, milk splashing defiantly. Like a rock. You. He winced, stirring sugar into his mug. Look, kiddo. About last night. I love you. Always will. But this, it's new. Scary. His eyes, so like Mom's in their warmth, pleaded for understanding. Victoria thinks counseling. Counseling. Sloane's spoon clattered. For what? Being honest? Dad, Mom would've. Your mother, Victoria interjected, sliding a plate of figs toward Dad. God rest her, was a different time. Free love and all that. But we're raising a young woman here, Michael. Exposure like this could ruin her. Scholarships, friends, future husbands. Stop. Sloane's voice was ice. I'm not your project. And Emery's not some phase. Dad rubbed his temples. Let's table it today. School waits for no drama. He stood, pecking Victoria's cheek, a gesture that twisted Sloane's gut, then squeezed her shoulder. We'll talk tonight. Promise. School was a minefield. The American school's campus, perched on a hillside amid pine groves, buzzed with the usual expat chatter. Whispers of spring break in Ibiza, complaints about Catalan homework. Sloane spotted Emery in the quad, lobbing a volleyball with her team, her laugh carrying like a beacon. Their eyes met across the grass, Emery's widening in question, and Sloane nodded subtle toward the art building. The supply closet was their riskiest hideout, dim and smelling of acrylics and clay. Emery slipped in 5 minutes later, locking the door, pulling Sloane into her arms. Tell me everything, she demanded, hands framing Sloane's face, thumbs brushing away phantom tears. Sloane leaned into her, the solidity of Emery's frame, toned from endless serves, a bomb. Dad's reeling. Victoria's on crusade. Thinks I'm corruptible. She mimicked the word, bitter. But he didn't freak. Not like I thought. Emery's lips quirked. Progress? My folks are clueless. Dad's glued to stock tickers, Mom's yoga retreats. But if they knew. She trailed off, kissing Sloane's temple, then cheek, then corner of mouth, soft, reassuring presses that spoke louder than vows. We're in game, Vargas. Remember that. Class dragged. Equations blurring into irrelevance. Sloane doodled waves in her notebook, Emery's initials hidden in the foam. Lunch was a tightrope. They sat with the group, volleyball girls, debate nerds, trading barbs about the upcoming talent show. But under the table their pinkies linked a secret circuit. Afternoon brought the bomb. Victoria texted during lit. Home early. Family meeting. Bring Emery if you must. Sloane's pulse spiked. She forwarded it to Emery, who replied with a thumbs-up emoji and a heart. Brave, but Sloane tasted dread. The villa loomed as they pulled up in Emery's jeep. The sea a glittering threat. Dad was on the patio, easel set up, dabbing at a canvas of turbulent blues, his grief series, half-finished ghosts. Victoria waited inside, a legal pad in hand, her smile as welcoming as a subpoena. "Welcome, girls," she said, gesturing to the sofa. Emery perched on the edge, Sloane beside her, thighs touching for courage. Dad joined, folding his frame into an armchair, looking like he'd aged a decade. "I've done research," Victoria began, flipping pages. "Therapy options in Barcelona, reputable ones. Conversion isn't ethical anymore, thank God, but affirmative care? We can guide this gently." Her tone dripped condescension, eyes flicking between them like they were exhibits. Emery stiffened. "Guide? We're not lost. Sloane's not broken." Dad cleared his throat. "Vic's just worried, protecting the family." "Family?" Sloane laughed sharp. "You mean your new one? Where's my say?" The argument ignited. Victoria cited articles, studies on fluidity in teens, twisting data like pretzels. Dad mediated, voice wavering, invoking Mom. "She'd want what's best, low. Stability." Emery fired back, quoting stats on queer youth suicide, her voice steady fire. Sloane watched it all, heart fracturing until she snapped. "Best? Mom loved without apology. She taught me that." Tears hot on her cheeks, she grabbed Emery's hand, bolting for the door. "We're out." They drove in silence to the cove, tires humming over coastal twists. Rain threatened, clouds bruising the horizon. At the pebbles they kicked off shoes, wading ankle deep, water cold as truth. "I'm sorry," Sloane whispered, back to Emery, waves lapping her calves. "Dragging you into this." Emery turned her, cupping her face. "Drag? This is us. And hey," she grinned through worry, "worst case we run away to Tangier. Sell postcards." Laughter bubbled, salt stung. They kissed then, slow and deep, the sea applauding. But as they dried on the blanket, Sloane's phone buzzed. "Dad. Come home. Please. I need to show you something." The villa was dim when they returned, lamps casting long shadows. Dad waited in the study, a shoebox on his lap. Mom's things, the ones he'd packed away. Victoria was absent. "At her studio," he said, voice thick. "Sit," he urged, patting the leather chair. Emery hung back, respectful, but Sloane waved her in. Dad lifted the lid. "Photos, letters, a worn journal. Your mom. She left this for you. For when you needed it." Sloane's fingers trembled, opening the journal. Mom's script looping in bold, "To my fierce girl, love isn't a cage. It's the key. I knew parts of you early, the way you watch the world with hunger. If this finds you loving a she or a they or none, I'm proud. Live loud, Mija. Break chains." Tears blurred the ink. Dad's hand covered hers. "I found it last night. After everything. Lo, I was scared, not of you but losing you like her. Victoria pushed the camera, said it was for us. But it's wrong. I'm sorry." Relief crashed wave-like. Emery squeezed Sloane's shoulder, silent support. "Does she know?" Sloane asked. "Not yet. But I will. This is your home, kiddo. Always." That night, as rain finally fell, Sloane and Emery curled on the balcony swing. Journal open between them. Mom's words wove through their whispers, a bridge across oceans. But betrayal's shadow lingered, Victoria's return loomed, and with it the real storm. Days blurred into a tense truce. Dad confronted Victoria over breakfast, voice low but firm. "No more cameras. No more judgments." She bristled, eyes flashing, but nodded, retreating to her easel with clipped fine. Sloane and Emery navigated school with cautious joy, holding hands openly in the quad, drawing stares but no slings. Whispers followed, but so did allies. The theater teacher with a rainbow pin, the librarian slipping Sloane books on queer icons. Yet cracks widened. Victoria's silences grew pointed, her canvases darkening to blacks and reds. One evening, Sloane overheard her on the phone. "Michael's blind, but I see it, poisoning her. We have to act." The words chilled, a harbinger. Emery sensed it too. "She's plotting," she said during a hike through cork oak groves, sweat beading on her brow. "My dad's paranoid, thinks expat life's full of schemers." Sloane nodded, plucking acorns. "Mom's journal says trust your gut. Mine's screaming." The gut proved right at the Hayes dinner. Emery's parents hosting, a barbecue on their terrace with views to France. Sloan arrived nervous, Emery's hand in hers a shield. Mr. Hayes, a balding tech bro with a firm handshake. Grilled veggies with TED Talk zeal. Mrs. Hayes, ethereal in linen, offered mindfulness tips over hummus. Conversation flowed easy until Victoria's name dropped. Heard your stepmom's an artist, Mr. Hayes boomed. Met her at that gala, sharp lady. Dad chuckled. Keeps us honest. But Emery's mom leaned in, voice hushed. Careful though. Rumor mill says she had a messy split back stateside, accusations of overreach, privacy stuff. Sloane's fork paused midair. Overreach. Like cameras in cornices. That night, back in the villa, Sloane rifled Victoria's studio while she taught a class in town. The space reeked of oil paint and resentment. Half-finished storms on easels, a desk cluttered with files. Buried under sketches, a folder. SV dossier. Heart-pounding, Sloane flipped it. Printouts of her and Emery's socials. Timestamps from the camera feed. Even emails to a consultant about youth intervention programs. Betrayal burned, hot and clarifying. She snapped photos on her phone, fleeing as tires crunched outside. Confrontation came at dawn, the four of them in the kitchen, coffee cold. Sloane slid the phone across. Explain. Victoria paled, then rallied. Protecting you from scandal from her. A glare at Emery. She's trouble, Michael. Leading your daughter astray. Dad's face thunderous. This ends now. Pack your things, Vic. She laughed, brittle. Leave? Over this? You're choosing her perversion over. Out. Dad roared, a beast unchained. As Victoria stormed upstairs, bags thumping, Sloane turned to Emery, their hands clasping, anchor and sail. But freedom's price whispered. What storms would follow? The villa sighed in Victoria's absence, her jasmine perfume fading like a bad dream. But the echoes lingered in the silences that stretched between meals, in Dad's distant stares at the sea. Sloane and Emery filled the voids with tentative normalcy. Beach bonfires with school friends, where guitars strummed folk tunes and stories swapped like shells. Late afternoons sketching in the cove, Emery's charcoals capturing Sloane's profile against the waves, fierce and unbroken. Yet beneath the romance's bloom, conflict simmered, a undercurrent pulling at their seams. Dad threw himself into painting, canvases multiplying like confessions. Abstracts of interlocking forms, blues merging into pinks, a visual apology. Your mom's influence, he admitted one evening, palette knife paused. They sat on the patio, stars pricking the velvet sky, a bottle of vermouth between them, his first share since the blow-up. She always said art heals what words can't. Sloane sipped, the herbal bite grounding. You believe that? About Emery and me. He set down the knife, eyes reflecting firelight. Scared me at first, echoes of my own hang-ups, Catholic guilt from Abuela's rosaries. But seeing you two, it's light low. Like her laugh was. A pause heavy. I failed you letting Vic in. Cameras judgments, should have trusted my girl. Tears pricked but Sloane blinked them back, Mom's mantra her shield. Lie fierce. You're fixing it now. That's enough. Emery's side was stormier. Her parents, oblivious to the depth, sensed ripples. That Vargas girl solid, but her family's turbulent. Mr. Hayes grumbled over breakfast tacos. His California holdover, eyes on his tablet. Emery deflected, but the pressure mounted. Subtle probes about distractions from volleyball scouts. Hints at traditional values for college apps. They're not ready, she confessed to Sloane during a midnight drive. Jeep headlights carving the coastal dark. But I can't hide us forever. Sloane's hand on her thigh warmed through denim. Then don't. We'll tell them together. The telling came unplanned. A catalyst in the Hayes sun-drenched kitchen. Mrs. Hayes was blending smoothies, kale whirring like accusations, when she spotted their linked hands across the island. Emery Jane, she said, blender dying to silence. Care to explain? Emery straightened, green eyes steady as tide pools. Mom, Dad, this is Sloane. My girlfriend. The word hung bold and unadorned. Mr. Hayes choked on his coffee, sputtering. Girlfriend? As in? His face cycled red to ashen, the tech exec's logic short-circuiting. Mrs. Hayes clutched the counter, bangles jingling. Oh honey, we thought it was a phase, crushes, experiments. But this. It's not, Emery said, voice cracking but holding. Sloane squeezed her hand, a silent were endgame. I love her. And if that's a problem. No problem, Mr. Hayes interrupted, too quick, wiping his mouth. Just unexpected. We're progressives after all, pride stickers on the Tesla. But his eyes darted, calculating risks. Stanford legacies, boardroom optics. Mrs. Hayes recovered with yoga breath. We'll support you, of course. Therapy. Books. Whatever helps navigate. Emery's laugh was wry. We navigate fine. Thanks, though. They left to strained hugs, the air thick with unspoken amendments to family bylaws. In the Jeep, Emery sagged against the wheel. That was survivable. Sloane kissed her knuckles. Epic. You're my hero. But heroes crack. The school's talent show loomed, a microcosm of their world. Expat kids belting show tunes, painting murals, a queer cabaret skit drawing cheers. Sloane and Emery entered as a duo, spoken word and guitar. A piece Sloane penned from Mom's journal. Waves crash but lovers build bridges. Rehearsals in the auditorium were magic, Emery's chords underscoring Sloane's verses, their chemistry drawing whoops from the drama crowd. Victoria's shadow resurfaced midweek. A letter shoved under the villa door. Her Barcelona forwarding address scrawled in elegant script. Michael Sloane, I've reflected. The camera was a mistake born of fear. For you know this. Love's forms vary, but family? That's the art we master. If reconciliation calls, my studio door opens. V. Dad read it aloud, brow furrowed. She's trying. Sloane snorted, crumpling it. Too little. But keep it. Loose ends suck. Emery, over FaceTime from a scout camp, urged caution. Betrayal's a slow poison. Watch her. The warning proved prescient. At the talent show, Victoria appeared uninvited, elegant in a shawl, clapping politely from the back row. Sloane set sword, voice steady, Emery strums a heartbeat, but as bows fell, Victoria approached, smile tentative. Beautiful girls. Raw like your mother's fire, Sloane. Sloane stiffened, Emery's arm a barrier. What are you doing here? Supporting. And apologizing. Privately. A glance at Dad, hovering near. The green room was a cocoon of props and nerves. Victoria faced them, hands clasped. I was wrong invading, judging. My own youth. I loved a woman once. College fling buried deep. Seeing you unearthed it terrified me. I lashed out. Emery's eyes narrowed. So you spied? That's not fear, that's control. Victoria nodded, tears glistening. Guilty. But exiles taught me grudges drown. Can we try? Dad stepped in, voice soft. Low. Sloane searched her, blue eyes once daggers now pleading. Mom's words ghosted, forgive to free. One coffee, she conceded. No cameras. Relief broke, hugs awkward but real. Emery watched, wary but later in the cove admitted. Humanizes her. Kinda. Climax brewed not in malice but misunderstanding. A storm of good intentions gone awry. Dad, buoyed by the thaw, invited Victoria to a family dinner. Closure pareja. Emery declined, scout obligations, leaving Sloane to navigate alone. The meal simmered with tentative warmth. Stories swapped, Victoria's canvases praised, Dad's grief sketches shared. But wine loosened tongues. Victoria, glass in hand, leaned to Sloane. You remind me of her, your mom. Fierce love. I envied that, after my ex's betrayals. Sloane softened fractionally. Envy's a thief. Let it go. Nodding, Victoria pulled a USB from her purse. Footage I deleted, mostly. But this clip. Your mom's influence? Thought you'd want it back. She plugged it in, the laptop whirring. What played wasn't kisses but devastation. Dad's hidden meltdown months prior. Alone in the study, sobbing over Mom's photo bottle empty. I can't, Elena, I failed her. Sloane's adrift and I'm nothing. Raw, unfiltered agony. Sloane froze, the room tilting. Dad's face mirrored the screen, horror dawning. Vic, you said you erased. For therapy, she stammered. To show his progress. I thought. You thought wrong. Sloane surged up, chair scraping. Betrayal's second verse. Not her secrets but Dad's soul bared without consent. This isn't closure. It's exploitation. Dad's voice broke. Out. Again. Victoria fled, tears streaming, the USB abandoned like fallout. Sloane crumpled, Dad pulling her close, his shirt damp with shared sobs. I'm sorry, kiddo. For all of it. Emery arrived post-call, wrapping them both in a group hug on the patio, rain pattering like absolution. Families are messes, she murmured. But we choose our anchors. Healing threaded slow. Dad entered therapy solo then family, unpacking grief's tangles. Victoria vanished, a postcard from Madrid. Learning my lines. Love from afar. Sloane and Emery's love deepened, roots in the cove sands. College apps joint dreams aligned. Yet conflict crested in Sloane's doubt, a midnight crisis. What if I'm too broken? She confessed, curled against Emery, thunder rumbling. Mom gone, Dad's ghosts, Vic's knives. Can I really build with you? Emery's fingers in her hair, voice fierce. Broken? You're mosaic, Sloane. Beautiful cracks. And yeah, it hurts. But love? It's the glue. Dawn found them walking the cliffs, hands linked, the sea of vast forgiveness. Months folded into the Mediterranean's rhythm, summers bleeding into autumn gales that stripped the pines bare, mirroring the slow unveiling of truths in the villa. Sloane and Emery's romance matured beyond stolen coves. Public dates in Barcelona's Gothic quarter, gelato melting on chins as they debated Sartre in shadowed alleys. Quiet evenings hosting movie nights, Thelma and Louise on loop, Dad chuckling at their cheers. The camera's ghost faded, replaced by Trust's tentative architecture. But drama's underbelly persisted. A reminder that love's path is paved with pebbles, not petals. School's end loomed, cap and gown fever gripping the campus. Sloane's acceptance to Berkeley thrilled. A journalism scholarship. Mom's legacy inked on letterhead. Emery's USC nod sealed their pact. Weekends shuttling I-5 love-bridging campuses. LA to SF piece of cake. Emery quipped over tapas, her foot hooked round Sloane's under the table. But joy shadowed with Dad's news. A gallery offer in California, pulling them stateside. Full circle low. Home. Home. The word tugged bittersweet. Spain had scarred and healed. The Costa Brava's cliffs etching resilience into Sloane's bones. You'll visit, she teased, but fear flickered. What if distance diluted them? Dad's therapy unearthed more. Letters to Mom read aloud in sessions, his voice steadying. I was afraid of losing you to her memory, he admitted post-session, over horchata on the patio. Thought a new wife would. Fill the gap. Stupid. Sloane hugged him fierce. Gaps aren't filled, they're honored. You're enough. Victoria's arc surprised. A tentative coffee in Girona evolved. Her studio visits where Sloane posed for portraits. Not as victim but muse. You capture light, Victoria said one afternoon, brush poised. Like she did. Confessions flowed. Her buried love, a poet named Clara, ended by 80s bigotry. I projected my regrets onto you. Cowardice. Forgiven, Sloane replied, not lightly. But earn it. Emery warmed slowly, joint lunches, where Victoria's stories of women's marches bridged generations. History's a chain, she'd say, eyes on the girls. Don't let it bind. Betrayal's final echo came not from malice, but fate's cruel jest. Emery's scouts, once casual, intensified. A national team whisper, trials in Florida. 2 weeks, she told Sloane, packing for Miami, duffel bulging. Then back to you. Separation nod. Nights alone, Sloane wandered the cove, journal in hand, Mom's words a compass. Love weathers storms. Calls bridged miles, Emery's voice crackling from hotel rooms, tales of spikes and sweat, but doubt crept, fed by a rogue email. Victoria forwarding an old clip mislabeled. Not Dad's breakdown but their first kiss time-stamped. For your keepsake, the note read. Power returned. Sloane's blood iced. Trust fractured anew. She confronted, phone to ear as rain lashed the villa. Why? After everything. Victoria's sigh weary. Misstep. Deleting now, swear. But lo, it's yours. Own it, don't fear. The call ended but turmoil didn't. Sloane drove to Barcelona that night, pounding the dash to Emery's ringtone. Voicemail. It's bad. Need you. Trials consumed Emery. Bruises blooming like accusations, coaches barking timelines. Florida's humidity clung, mirroring Sloane's unrest. Days blurred. Practices, ice baths, homesick pings to Sloane. Miss your fire. One red heart emoji, a placeholder. Dad noticed the pallor. Talk to her. Flights are cheap. But pride stalled Sloane, don't burden her. Instead, she channeled into a piece for the school paper, Exile and Embrace, Queer Love and Expat Shadows. It ran raw and lauded, drawing emails from hidden allies, kids coming out, parents reflecting. Climax shattered on a tarmac. Emery's flight home diverted, hurricane churn, but she rerouted, landing in Girona at midnight, storm-tossed. Sloane waited, hood up against sheets of rain, heart adrum. Emery emerged, soaked and grinning, volleyball tan faded, duffel slung. Heard your article. Epic. They collided, rain mingling with tears, lips meeting in a kiss saltier than the sea. The clip, Sloane gasped, pulling back. Vic sent it again. I freaked, thought we'd shatter. Emery's laugh thunder deep. Shatter? Nah. We're tempered glass. She cupped Sloane's face, thumbs tracing jaw. Called her from the gate. She owned it, therapy's her homework now. But us? Unbreakable. Dad's Jeep idled nearby, headlights a beacon. He waved them in, no questions, just the radio crooning Springsteen, Thunder Road, apt and aching. Back home the storm raged outside, but inside brewed revelation. Over cocoa, Emery unpacked. The trials weren't just spikes but soul-searching. Coach pulled me aside, said my edge is heart, not hustle. Blamed you. Wink. Said channel that love. Sloane blushed, Dad chuckling. Smart coach. Dawn broke clear, the coast scrubbed anew. They hiked the cliffs 3 abreast, Dad ahead pointing seabirds, Sloane and Emery trailing, hands swinging. At the overlook, vast blue unspooling, Dad turned. Stateside soon. But this gesture encompassing all. It's us. Messy mended. Emery nodded. Family's not blood. It's choice. Sloane's heart swelled. Mom's journal heavy in her pocket. Later, alone in the cove, she and Emery spread the blanket, waves a lullaby. Future's scary, Sloane admitted, head on Emery's lap. Colleges, coasts, will it hold? Emery's fingers wove through curls. It holds because we do. Remember, waves crash but we build. Their kiss sealed it, soft as promise, deep as devotion. No grand gestures, just the human weave, flawed, fervent, enduring. Epilogue whispered in departures. Suitcases packed, villa keys handed over. A final barbecue with hazes and stragglers. Victoria attended, peripheral. Her nod to Sloane a quiet well done. Flights to LAX, then splits, Sloane north, Emery south. But reunions plotted, love's map redrawn. In Berkeley's haze, Sloane penned op-eds, Emery filmed shorts. Visits a ritual. Drives with playlists of mom's favorites. Coves recreated on California shores. Dad remarried gently. A gallery curator, no cameras, and Victoria? Letters from Madrid, aunt-like. Her own love rekindled with a bookseller. Years on, at their wedding, clifftop sea view, rain held off, Sloane's vows echoed mom. You lit my soul, Emery Hayes Vargas. Fierce and forever. Dad teared up, Victoria in the crowd, clapping true. Love, they learned, isn't absence of storm but dancing in it, human, hopeful, whole.